Hello House Lovers, a glorious day in Melbourne. Once again, the sun is shining and it's nearly Christmas. I'm just so glad we had the handsomest chimney sweep in Melbourne come through to prepare the chimneys for Santa's arrival. But we have a very special episode. This week I went to visit our designer Julia in her house in Melbourne, which is where the good doctor and I first met her really, and also saw her design capacity. We loved her house so much, we just both instinctively felt, you know what, she's going to be the one for us to make sense of Bon Accord in terms of what we want it to be, blending the old with the new and steering us through that process. She has been fabulous and the process has been fabulous. So house lovers, here we are. A big thank you to Julia who let me into her gorgeous house early this week so I could show you. Hello house lovers, and as promised, here we are at Julia's fabulous house. Let's go inside. Ta-da! House lovers, here we are in the fabulous Julia's house. Thank you very much for welcoming us in your hallowed halls.
Thank you, good to be here.
Ms. Cox, here we are downstairs. So we've just come in through the street, as you saw. This is the ground level. And I noticed that this is where the bedroom corridor is. So tell me, how did you come to make the decision to flip living upstairs, sleeping downstairs?
Well, the site really dictated it because this wall is the northern boundary, and so we have 3 street frontages, and so the light was coming from the south, a little bit of east and west. So it was always going to be dark down here on the ground floor, next to a Victorian terrace with a limited wall. It was really about going up to the light. It also helps with not having to have air conditioning because you can sleep downstairs where it's cool. And
you have no aircon.
Finally put some in a few years ago on the very top floor, only because climate change is getting warmer and it wasn't cooling down with that nighttime venting that it was designed to do. We still don't really need it that often.
Right.
So yeah, the idea was, so in winter it's very insulated down here, so it stays very even temperature. So it's dark and moody at night, and then you go up to the light and to the balconies and to spread out.
I must say, it's a fabulous entry. You saw all the leafy canopy that's hanging over there. Was that a very considered decision, the way that people find the front door?
The fringe evolved. It was always a case that with the 3 concrete panels on boundary and no fence, I was terrified we'd get graffiti. And so when I was building, I actually planted the 3 Boston ivies to protect the walls. And we've never been graffitied, so that was pretty cool. Of course, it wants to run up, and I didn't want it to cover up the formwork.
Because it's very neatly trimmed, and it hangs there. It's very sculptural. We
worked out when we used to cut it, it would make all these new ends that would race up the wall. Yeah. But then we worked out if we actually let it hang, then those ends and the weight stopped it from racing up the wall so much.
And now a bedroom of your son, who we won't show because that would be cruel. And we are here to talk about concrete tricks. Are we not?
Yes.
Okay, concrete tricks, Julia, talk to me.
Well, on this floor, it was very much about using a lot of exposed concrete. Yeah. So we have all the precast panel walls down here. Yeah. And in this ceiling, which is the only exposed concrete ceiling throughout the house, I wanted to cast in the curtain track, which goes a full 90 degrees around the room. So if you don't have it in front of the windows, you can have it as a bed head.
Ah, clever.
Thank you. And then also casting in the recess for the lighting track, which all, of course, has to be thought out in advance.
I was going to say, so that requires a great deal of pre-planning.
Exactly.
So that also meant committing to lighting plan. I mean, here the curtain could be a headboard. So committing to all those kind of aesthetic plans very early in the planning stage.
Yeah, definitely, because working out where you're going to put the furniture so that you knew where the lighting and the power points, worked properly. Yeah. And that's what you need to do with concrete, all that forward thinking. Yeah. Also, the door tracks in the hallway, had to cast those in to take those big doors rather than just have them screwed on later, which would look daggy. Come upstairs.
Okay, lead the way. I'm following the light. Okay, Julia, let's talk tricks. Fabulous sofa. So the stairs, as we walk up, the stairs are concrete, and then the oak sliding panels, as you said, form the balustrade. Very beautiful. And then as you come up, you can see through the glazed interior wall, I suppose, into the kitchen. very light, and as you come up, I feel you get a sense of excitement and like a peek into the house.
Designing a kitchen that didn't look like a kitchen, because you do come up right next to the kitchen. Very much, I think that's also about the light too. And the building actually is wider at this point, and so it is very much an expansion upwards and outwards.
And the stairs, what were your thoughts about those when you were originally thinking of a staircase?
I always wanted separate treads, and I always liked it to be monumental. And so the lower ones have a return on them, so you can't see through to the storage.
Yeah.
And then the upper ones, where we needed sort of more light coming through from the skylight, just a flat plane, so that you can actually see through there. And the stairs are really interesting because they were all poured in little moulds on the same day. Obviously the slabs were getting poured, and then once they were all set, I had to wash the top surface back to expose the aggregate and get that almost great terrazzo textured feel.
Because they're beautifully textured. How did you do that?
There was a bit of acid, I think, involved.
House lovers.
But it was fun. It was fun. And
acid bathing your steps. Now that's commitment to texture.
well, it was actually with a brush. I hand scrubbed every one of them and unscrewed all the moulds, and then voila, it was like these amazing little cake came out.
Okay, let's go to the music room. Okay, the music room. Can I join you in the opium bed? Or is this a marriage bed?
We call it the opium bed.
It is, very opium-esque. Now, I must confess that when we first came up, I did have massive Chinese marriage bed envy as well, because I've always wanted one. And we didn't know you. And when I saw this bed, I thought, oh my God. Julia is my doppelganger. You're living my fantasy life. I was living in New York, and literally 2 days before I left, a friend rang me to say, you will never believe what I've just seen in a thrift store on 12th Street. It was a Chinese red lacquer marriage bed, and I was literally leaving the city in 2 days' time to come back to Australia. I ran down, and there was this marriage bed in pieces laid out on the floor because they flat pack. It's the early IKEA. But I'd packed and shipped, and I just looked at it and almost wept. Anyway, fast forward, I see this, I'm re-inspired, and I find one at auction. So I am officially copycatting you.
You're allowed to. They are fabulous. It's the most comfortable thing. I used to sleep in this because it's double bed size, and
Gorgeous.
I'd bulldog clip all these Indian blankets to make this like a 4-poster. It was the most beautiful thing to sleep in.
Yeah.
And then I outgrew the double bed. It's our TV couch, so the boys and I pile in here and watch TV.
It's like an event.
It is. And something about the lounging and the canopy is really quite magical. And you're right. There are, I think, 4 screws that hold the whole thing together, and it just all pulls apart.
I can't wait to put ours up. The Netflix bed, we could christen it. Is it time to visit the boudoir?
Yes.
Let's go. Isn't it wonderful? Thank you, Julia, for letting us in, and such a great place. And in fact, there is so much there that we are going to have to split that into 2 episodes. So do watch next week for the second half. Thanks for watching, House Lovers. Thank you for subscribing, thank you for liking, and thank you for leaving a comment if you so desire. I hope all's well where you are. Do take care. I hope this season pans out to be what you want it to be. And do join me next week for the second half of Julia's brilliant house visit. Until then, see you later.